In our Bonds 101 video, we broke down what a bond actually is and how it works. If you have not seen that one yet, go check it out. It will make what we cover today make more sense. Because today, we are going one level deeper. Just like stocks, there is more than one way to get exposure to bonds, and each method exists for a reason. But with bonds, the differences between these methods matter more than most people realize. One thing before we jump in. This is an AI avatar of Blake Wiswell. Beyond the Ticker runs on real expertise delivered in a new way. Now let's get into it. Let's start with the most straightforward approach, buying individual bonds directly. When you buy an individual bond, you are lending money to a specific issuer. That could be a corporation, the US government, or a municipality. You know exactly who you are lending to, what the interest rate is, and when you get your money back. Two things matter most in this decision: the maturity date and the credit quality of the issuer. The maturity date tells you exactly when your principal is returned. The credit quality tells you how confident you can be that the issuer will actually make good on that promise. One category of individual bonds worth calling out specifically is municipal bonds. These are issued by state and local governments to fund public infrastructure like roads, schools, and utilities. What makes them intriguing is the tax treatment. The interest earned is often exempt from federal income tax, and sometimes state and local taxes as well. For investors in higher tax brackets, that tax advantage can make a meaningful difference in what they actually keep after taxes. Now let's talk about bond mutual funds. A bond fund pools money from many investors and buys a broad portfolio of bonds. You get instant diversification across many issuers, maturities, and bond types. A professional manager oversees the fund and makes ongoing decisions about what to hold and when to adjust. But here is the critical thing to understand. A bond mutual fund has no maturity date. The fund does not end. It does not return your principal at a defined point in time. The manager is constantly buying new bonds as old ones mature, which means you are never actually holding a bond to completion. You are holding a share of a fund that is perpetually rolling exposure forward. The value of that share fluctuates daily with interest rates and market conditions, the same as an equity mutual fund. This fundamentally changes what you own. One of the core purposes of a bond is that defined endpoint. You lend money, you collect interest, you get your principal back. A bond mutual fund removes that certainty entirely. You are exposed to bond market fluctuations without the contractual protection that a maturity date provides. That is a detail every investor needs to understand clearly before buying in. Bond ETFs carry the same important distinction. Like a bond mutual fund, a bond ETF holds a diversified portfolio of bonds and trades on an exchange throughout the day. Most are passively managed, tracking a bond index rather than relying on active decisions. That keeps costs lower and makes the holdings more transparent than a typical mutual fund. But again, no maturity date. The same dynamic applies. The ETF does not end. Principal is not returned at a defined point. You own shares in a vehicle that continuously holds bonds, and the value of those shares moves with the market. In a rising interest rate environment, bond ETF prices likely fall, and there is no maturity date coming to restore your principal the way there would be with an individual bond. For investors who want low-cost, flexible bond market exposure, ETFs are an efficient tool, but they should not be mistaken for the same thing as owning a bond directly. Now let's talk about the gold standard of bonds in terms of credit quality. Treasuries are bonds issued by the federal government. They come in different durations: short-term bills, medium-term notes, and long-term bonds. What makes Treasuries unique is their credit quality. They are considered the benchmark for safety in the global bond market because they are backed by the US government. When investors around the world want to reduce risk, Treasuries are typically where they go. That flight to safety dynamic has played out consistently through every major market disruption in modern history. The interest rates on Treasuries also serve as a reference point for the entire bond market. When Treasury yields move, virtually every other fixed income instrument is measured against them. Learning about Treasuries is about understanding the foundation that the entire bond market is built on. So let's bring it together. Individual bonds give you direct ownership with a defined timeline and known credit quality, the purest expression of what fixed income is designed to be. Bond mutual funds and bond ETFs offer diversification and accessibility, but they remove the maturity date that sits at the core of what a bond actually is. And Treasuries represent the highest credit quality available in the bond market, the benchmark everything else is measured against. Understanding these differences helps you understand what you are actually buying and whether it is doing the job you think it is doing in your portfolio. Knowledge is the one investment that never loses value, and that is exactly what Beyond the Ticker is built on. If you got something out of this, like the video, subscribe, and pass it along to someone who would appreciate it. Every share helps us reach more people, and we are grateful for every single one. See you next time.